harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not.
Yeah.
And you are accountable for that as well. Because I don't got time to figure out which white people are nice, which white people aren't racist, or da-da-da-da-da. I have to go on the actions of the group.
Right.
The group as a whole and the history of that group as a whole tells me that they are a danger to me and they are not to be trusted.
Right.
And if you can understand that as a black man and your stance towards white people, then you should absolutely be able to understand women's stance towards you. It's not a war on you waged by women. Actually, the war get a little thicker when we start talking about it from the perspective of a woman and the greater society of racism and white supremacy being waged against black people, and then the patriarchal society being waged against women. So they have to deal with two elements. One of those elements we don't have to think about, and honestly, we're perpetuated. And it's perpetuated against us young to look at women as objects,
Right.
you know, to look at women only through the lens of a sexual desire and not as the human being that they are. And when you understand how to deal with women on a human level, you understand how much women will enrich your life.
Amen. Amen.
You want to turn it up a notch?
Yeah.
Get you a good woman, and get you a good black woman in your corner.
Amen.
Hey, man, you want to see your life turn up?
Hey.
And see, this is the thing, though. It's a privilege, bro. It's a privilege. You know what I'm saying? We often disregard the power of our black women, the spiritual essence that they're gonna bring to things, the knowing, the seeing. You know what I'm saying? Also, too, imagine it. They have to be hyper vigilant because they have to be constantly scanning the room, making sure that they're in a safe situation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When we think about these kids who were clearly in Louisiana having the time of their fucking life because they graduated, and we think about white people's reaction to Black joy.
Oh yeah, that's
it's not about civility. It's not about decorum. They don't like to see us happy.
That's what it is.
Now, how often are women just having a good time, and here come a nigga trying to ruin their fun?
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. You can call it pandering, but if I was up here caping for white women, you wouldn't even mention that word. If I was up here caping for Hispanic women, you wouldn't even call it pandering. Only when we take pride and show love to black women do you call it pandering. Get your motherfucking mind right. Use your cabeza.
Why is it called pandering when we uplift black women? Why is it called pandering when we uplift black women? Go ahead, Real Dope.
I don't agree with that at all. I think they, when people do that, they just be talking. They don't actually have anything to really back up what they're saying. He's saying that if we uplifted white women, which I don't know as a black person why it would be our job to do that wouldn't be pandering. That just sounds crazy to me. I think he's just literally talking. I don't think that he has any evidence, or I don't think he's even experienced. He's even experienced it. But pandering is pandering. Whether you doing it don't matter who you're doing it to. It's not being genuine. It's just doing something for a specific reaction from a certain group of people, and it's not genuine. So I don't know.
All right, go ahead straight like that. Why is it called pandering when we uplift black women?
My bad. Oops. My bad, guys. No, I agree with my brother that just spoke. That guy, or just any guy in general that says stuff that he says, and I know we're going to probably touch on other topics, but just to answer the general question, I don't think it's pandering when it's black women, because if you ask white men, they would call other white men that cape for women's rights or like a criticism. They would say the same thing from any race. So I just don't understand where, as my brother just said, where is he getting these numbers from? Like, how is he quantifying his statement? Just seems like he's actually just speaking for the sense of, making sure his women audience. Because to be honest with you, a lot of content creators, they know that women are the ones that pay the most super chats. They know that women are the ones that go out and buy books, which is why it's easier to, pander to any female demographic, because they're the ones that spend a lot of money. But if you do have males on your corner, it's a sustainable business. But yeah, to my last brother's point, I don't know where he's getting that information from. I disagree with the sentiment and his statement. It doesn't make any sense to me.
What is it that you don't agree with? I know you just said I don't agree with this. What he's saying. What is it that you specifically don't agree with?
No, like the point he was making is that if he spoke about another race, it wouldn't be pandering, but because it's a black woman, it's pandering. I don't know how he's quantifying that, because if you talk to any other race, if you talk to the men in that race, they would point out pandering as well. So I don't know I don't agree with the statement that if you're defending black women, then it's called pandering. I just don't know where he gets that
All right, go ahead, Willie.
It's pandering because he's not uplifting black women. He's just sacrificing men in an attempt to not hold black women accountable. Anytime a man changes his beliefs, opinions, or views to align with women just to make himself seem better, that's why it's called pandering. I don't think that anybody calls uplifting black women pandering, though. There's several content creators out here who uplift black women, support and fight for them without going against what it is for them to be a man as well. So for him, as Straight Like That said, it's a business model. It's just a manipulative tactic because he knows women spend the most money, women send the most super chats, women show the most support for anything they can yes to. So because of that, he's doing what he's supposed to do to make his money. But at the end of the day, for these content creators, like, I have an issue with the messages they put out because, one, I always look at the messenger, and he looks like the type of guy who would sit here and hang out with a bunch of women and just let them do whatever, run amok, because he looks like them, and he's probably was raised by one as well. So everything he said to me kind of fell on deaf ears, because as someone who actually supports black women without having a pander, none of what he said was true.
Another question for you, Willie. Why do some women say men are dangerous just for approaching?
Because it makes them feel good. It gives them something to complain about as far as black men goes. Because if they were being approached by the type of black men they wanted, they wouldn't have that same feeling. But since they're getting approached by men they don't like, that they don't want to entertain, or that they wouldn't choose, they say it's dangerous because, if 1 in 1,000 men, smacks a girl because he didn't give her a phone number, and they like to try to actually let that matriculate down through the rest of us and hold us accountable for what that one guy did.
Could I add something to that, Lapeef, real quick?
Sure can. Go ahead.
I think when women say that, and from my perspective, women seem to be the biggest daredevils when it comes to like men, right? But on the other hand, they say, "Oh, men are so dangerous." They be meeting men and letting them in their house before I would even meet a man and let him in my house. I'd be scared to go out with these guys as fast as they going out with them. But then on the other hand, they're like, "Oh, we so scared of them." No, you not. You on dates. You trying to go on trips with guys you just met a week ago. Cut it out. They just be talking.
All right. Go ahead, Jay. What are your thoughts about the pandering? And then you can answer the next question. Why is it called pandering when we uplift black women?
I think the pandering aspect, I think it's just something cultural. You know what I mean? I think it's like just a term that you just throw out there, like narcissism or like trauma bonding or like love bombing. You know what I mean? I think it's just another term that draws people in. You know what I mean? It's like a trigger word. You know what I'm saying? So I think technically that's why people use it. You know what I mean? But I think in terms of for black women, I think because you always see the worst of them, or like, this bubble that we're in, there's not a lot of good women that are broadcasted. We always see the worst of them, I mean, because we're in the content space where, you're not gonna, if you quantify the clicks and views, you're not gonna get a lot of attention for broadcasting normal hardworking black women that go to work, come home, pay their bills on time, not flattening tires, not busting windshields, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's boring. That's not anything entertaining. But if you show, shorty running out the house with 2 babies under her arms, fist fighting, you know what I'm saying, with her titties popping out her damn t-shirt, you know, that's it's like, oh, sweat, you know, that's 3,000 people, 3,000 content creators that could grab that and, you know, have commentary on it. So, you know, the worst of them are broadcasted. So so speaking to the cultural aspect of it, calling somebody pandering, anytime, you know, you see a woman that has a legitimate argument as to us not, you know, has a legitimate argument to speaking to the worst of us men, you know, that's going to get clicks as well. So I just think it's a cultural thing.
And then why do some women say men are dangerous for just approaching?
I mean, because they're broadcasting the worst of us. You know what I mean? Like, and there are some maniacs out here that, you know, haven't dealt with rejection or, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a lot of women aren't nice the way they reject people. You know what I mean? So you're testing somebody's ego, and the worst of us are broadcasted. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if, you know, us who are older, more mature get rejected, you know what I'm saying? There's a different way that we carry that versus a younger person. You know, they might be on 10, you know, their feelings might be hurt, and then, you know, that gets broadcasted, and that's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Seeing a chick get hit in the face with a skateboard, like, yo, that's dangerous. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a stigma, and I think it's just a bubble thing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's in their kind of niche or in their echo chamber or their bubble, and this is what gets broadcasted.